Underneath all the charm, this show has produced moments that don't feel like a procedural at all. They feel heavier, the kind of thing that sits in your chest long after the credits roll. We went through every single case this show has ever produced and pulled out the 3 that don't play like comedy at all. No jump scares, no gore, something worse. Cases built on fear, on protection, on the kind of pressure that builds for years until it finally breaks. High Potential sells you a fantasy, a genius mom who solves murders between school pickups and sharp one-liners, comedy, chaos, chemistry that makes you scream at your screen. But 3 cases break that fantasy completely. Today, we go there. These are the cases that stayed with me long after the episode ended. Season 1, Episode 10, Tara Foley. It starts at a playground with 2 kids racing down a slide. They go in laughing, and they don't come back up. Parents rush over. Something's wrong inside the tube. What they find isn't a malfunction. It's a body. Tara Foley, a nanny. No family listed in her phone, no emergency contact, no one waiting up for her. The medical examiner, Dr. Forzan, reads the scene. Epidural hematoma, blunt force trauma, and then the conclusion that flips the entire case. Based on the shape of the slide and the location of the wound, the victim wasn't attacked in there at all. She was struck somewhere else, tried to escape her attacker, and crawled inside the slide to hide.
She was hiding, Lieutenant.
She was hiding, Lieutenant. She didn't die at a crime scene. She died finding the smallest, safest-looking space she could fit into, hoping it would be enough. What follows is a parade of suspects who all look guilty and aren't. A man spotted near the park, reading a French newspaper, turns out to be a private investigator, hired by a family who suspected their nanny was mistreating their son. Watching the park from the outside, since the inside was already covered by nanny cams. A woman named Karina becomes a suspect after witnesses remember her screaming at Tara in public. Her husband Mark had gotten close to Tara through the nanny network, and Karina was jealous enough to confront her. Every thread looks like the answer. Every thread is wrong. The real one is smaller and somehow colder. Another nanny, Oksana. Tara had figured out that Oksana was behind a string of fake online posts, accounts built under stolen names, designed to get rival nannies fired by smearing them to the families who employed them. For someone on a visa, that kind of professional sabotage isn't just embarrassing. It's the kind of thing that can end up costing you the right to stay in the country at all. Tara confronted her after church. No witnesses, no warning. Oksana didn't argue. She picked up a rock. Her confession isn't dressed up with any regret.
I choose prison here over going back to Russia any day.
I choose prison here over going back to Russia any day. That's the whole motive, laid out flat. Immigration status, a few fake posts, a woman who decided someone else's life mattered less than her own fear of being sent back. Tara didn't do anything wrong. She noticed something true, said it out loud once, and a children's slide became the last place she'd ever hide. Season 1, Episode 11, Cody. It opens with a cold case that nobody expected to break. The Bucket Lane murder. 10 years old, a death in a mansion, a body found in a family sauna. George Donovan, the family patriarch, confesses on his deathbed. Case closed. Soto doesn't celebrate. She worked this case as a junior detective. She had reservations about George back then, and a deathbed confession that arrives exactly when nobody can ask follow-up questions doesn't sit right. She pulls Morgan in to take a fresh look. What they find underneath it is worse than anyone wants to say out loud. Barry Johnson, Heather Donovan's husband, had been abusing her for years. She never went to the police. I thought he'd change, plus I was ashamed. She had been a nurse before Cody was born, so she never went to the hospital either. She just treated her own injuries herself, quietly, so nobody would ask questions. Cody saw the bruises. He knew exactly what was happening behind closed doors because he'd watched it happen more than once. He was 15 years old, smart enough that MIT was already circling him, and he decided he was done waiting for someone else to make it stop. During a family Thanksgiving gathering, he heard his father in the shower. He grabbed a hairdryer. He threw it in. The plan was almost elegant for a kid that age. Electrocution gets written off as a heart attack more often than people think. But the outlet next to the shower catches fire mid-cover-up, and a 15-year-old has to improvise. He swaps the scorched, wallpaper-covered faceplate for a plain one to hide the burn marks. Then he sends his father's body down the laundry chute to the basement, where it lands in the laundry hamper, and where a single drop of Barry's blood falls onto a dirty shirt of George's, already sitting inside it. Cody doesn't know any of this. He goes back upstairs, joins family game night, and uses a radio frequency remote to flip channels on a TV upstairs. So it sounds like his father is still up there, alive, watching television, while Cody sits at the table playing Monopoly. Barry was already dead in the basement. The family thought he was watching TV. Then, at midnight, when everyone else is asleep except his grandmother Lenore, Cody heads back downstairs, wearing his father's bathrobe. Lenore spots him in the hallway and assumes it's Barry. In the basement, Cody moves his father's body from the hamper into the sauna, places an empty wine bottle beside him, cranks the thermostat up, and leaves the bathrobe behind. He didn't know the fall down the chute had already broken his father's neck. He didn't know about the drop of blood on George's shirt. He didn't know that a single mismatched outlet cover in a bathroom would be the detail that unravels everything a decade later. And he carried all of it alone for 10 years, until George, the only person Cody ever told, decided to take the blame to his own grave rather than let his grandson live with it any longer. When Morgan lays the entire timeline out in front of the family, Cody doesn't run, and he doesn't deny it. He breaks. "Mom, this secret has been eating me alive." He can't sleep, can't focus, doesn't feel like he deserves any success in his life, any peace, any of it. He thought protecting her meant disappearing into the lie forever. He was 15. He almost did. Season 2, Episode 4, Greta and Lucy. This case starts a quarter century before the body that opens it, and the cruelest part of it doesn't even involve a murder weapon. Greta St. John was a singer on the rise, performing at a club called the Black Jewel, when her manager Mac Epps shot her dead. Her rival, a woman named Raina, watched the whole thing happen, and then she made a choice, not to report it, but to profit from it. Epps bought her silence with a house, and she kept that silence for 25 years. It explains why everyone went radio silent during the original investigation into Greta's murder. Epps had turned Greta's family's life upside down for decades. People around him didn't talk. They knew better. Before she died, Greta did one thing right. She hid her baby from Epps, the one person who could never know that child existed. That baby grew up with no idea who her real mother was. Her name is Lucy, and Epps is her biological father. As an adult, Lucy starts digging into her mother's death. Her search leads her to Raina, but Lucy doesn't walk in as herself. She poses as a magazine journalist researching lost musical voices of the 90s, builds a relationship with Raina under a completely fabricated identity. And here's what makes this case different from every other one. The relationship becomes real. When detectives ask Lucy about Raina early in the investigation, she doesn't hesitate. "She was like a second mother to me." That's not a cover story. That's how Lucy genuinely felt before she knew the truth. Then dementia does something cruel and revealing at the same time. Reina's memory starts slipping, and one buried image fights its way back, a blood-stained dress in the basement. The night Greta died, resurfacing in fragments Reina can no longer control. That's what sets everything in motion. Reina calls 911, and that call is what brings Morgan and Karadek to her door. The case cracks open from there. A yucca moth on Epps' windshield puts his car in the Mojave Desert on the day of Reina's death, breaking the alibi he'd constructed and pointing the investigation directly at him. When Epps is finally cornered, he takes a hostage. Karadek has two options: let him go or shoot. He shoots. It's the first time in 20 years on the job that he's had to pull the trigger on another person. And it's a weight the episode doesn't let him carry quietly. But the final revelation belongs to Lucy. She's the one who pushed Reina. Not planned, not premeditated. She came looking for the truth about her mother, built what felt like a real bond with the woman who knew it, and then discovered that bond had been sitting on top of a lie her entire life. Reina hadn't just witnessed Greta's murder. She'd been paid to bury it. When Lucy finally understood the full shape of that betrayal, the confrontation at the top of a staircase ended in a push that Reina didn't survive. I swear I did not mean to kill her. Almost certainly true, but the result is the same. Lucy came looking for justice for her mother and leaves in handcuffs, having erased the only living witness to what happened that night. Greta hid her child to protect her. 25 years later, that child found the truth, and it cost a second life to uncover it. 3 cases, 3 people who never set out to become killers. A nanny who hid inside a slide because she was afraid of what would happen if she was found. A teenager who threw a hairdryer because he couldn't watch his mother get hurt one more time. A daughter who pushed the closest thing she had to a second mother down a staircase because the truth about her first one finally caught up with both of them. None of these started with cruelty. They started with pressure that built for years, and a breaking point none of them saw coming until it was already too late. And these aren't even the coldest cases this show has produced. There are episodes where the danger isn't fear at all. It's calculated, controlled, built on purpose. Those are coming. If this is the kind of analysis you came here for, you know what to do.